Excellent. Great to see so many people here. And voila, I actually have my studio back because I finally moved into my new home after all these many months. Yes, I was very patient. Just want to thank everyone for holding space for me while I transitioned, especially Sandra and Jim, who allowed me to stay at their home. And since I moved in, Laura Jane, what a special soul. She came over yesterday and brought me lasagna. She knew I didn't really have anything in my fridge because the movers just moved everything in on Thursday. And then the next day I had a root canal. And so, yeah, I'm just very grateful to my friends. Beautiful. And also before we get started, Norma Jean was our facilitator in our education forum for a year. That was in 2021. And I just heard news that her boyfriend was just diagnosed with cancer. And not only that, her youngest son was just diagnosed with cancer as well. Yeah, and Norma just lost her brother 2 months ago. Yeah, so if we can all just send Norma prayers and healing energy to her and her family, that would be wonderful. Okay, so I just got off the phone again with Jennifer Hibberd. She's been the one assisting to get Dolores on the call tonight because it's so late where Dolores is. So Dolores is not in Ireland. She's in Austria right now. She said yes this afternoon that she would be on the call, or just a couple hours ago when I sent out the email. And Jennifer just called me and said that she hasn't been able to pick up the Zoom link for tonight as of yet. So we're trusting that she will be here. So let's all put out our manifestation vibes that Dolores makes it on the call. And yes, we do have our Sovereign Living workshop coming up here in Calgary, November 4th and 5th. And this is going to be a powerful opportunity for everyone to practice what it means to stand in your authority. So everyone that attends, you're going to get a sovereign buddy for the weekend. And then you're going to receive scripts, and you both get to walk around the room practicing these scripts on what to say to even civil servants, what to say to police, what to say to a judge. And we really need to learn how to stand in our authority in peaceful non-compliance and to truly know words and to express words that we've never said out loud before. And because there is the language of freedom that we really need to step into now, because it's not going to be where anyone is going to get a free ride. Everyone is going to have to learn how to stand in their sovereignty. This is something that you cannot, just, take someone's hand and follow their footsteps. This is not about, you sitting back on the couch and everybody else doing the work. Everyone is going to be called to learn how to stand in their own authority. So we do recommend that you register for the weekend course. Laura Jane, if you can add the link in the chat, that would be awesome.
Sure. Oops.
Hilla, you have a question or a comment? Go ahead.
An update maybe after Laura Jean about the March for the Children.
Yes.
So Saturday was Cross Canada and the US March for the Children. And I don't know how many of you are aware of it or attended some of it, some of them, but apparently very successful ones in Toronto, in Ottawa, in BC, in Calgary, in BC, Abbotsford, and Nanaimo, Surrey, Chilliwack. I feel so encouraged these days. I remember last year, after attending the first drag queen storytelling in one of the community centers in Vancouver, it was quite devastating to see what's happening and that people are not aware. But with the marches across Canada and the United States and in Europe, people are waking up, people are getting informed, and people are taking actions. Parents, people just like you and I go to school boards, they ask questions, they write to their teachers, to their MLA, they just demand answers and changes according to their value and beliefs. And I encourage each and every one of you get informed, keep following up anything on the social platforms and that are out there, and let's protect our children. That's the most vulnerable part that they're attacking on this war on humanity, and we have to stand. It's where we have to stand. So Saturday was a good turnout, and yeah, that's about it for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hilla, for your passion, your commitment, your courage, all of it. We so appreciate all you do. And you're so right. It does start with the children, 100%. Thank you, Laura Jane. Okay, yeah, the link is in the chat. So this is all about us moving forward in knowledge, having the knowledge in knowing what to say, how to respond and not react. Because, you know, at Life First Canada, we're all about educating everyone on higher knowledge, to stand in our power, to be fearless, because it is our time. The end times are ending for those who caused harm. So this is going to be a powerful journey that we're all on. And I know many of you are taking action, and we applaud you. Yay. It is so important. Yeah, because as we're moving forward, we're being reminded that we really need to do our research in the Bill of Exchange, the Sesquivi Trust, because it really pertains to how we're going to really step into sovereign living. It's not just about not paying taxes. It's not just about not having a driver's license. It's about owning sovereignty within your own mind, body, and soul. That's where it starts. This course really allows you to practice living as that sovereign being, and really tapping into aspects of ourselves that we may have forgotten. So on day one, we're going to be going through the foundation of our reality. We're showcasing that we've never had to pay any bills. This is one of the biggest lies. So we need to really explore the truth of this so that you can start taking action in your own life and create that 3-step process, so that we're no longer using any of their systems, unplugging from the public jurisdiction. Yes, it's going to take time, but we need to learn how to unplug. And again, that birth certificate slave system, it's really important to learn the truth of who you are. In the Sesquivi Trust Act of 1666, it actually states that you are here to claim your realm, and that realm is your kingdom. So we already have a prosperous reality that is ours, but we have forgotten to go and claim it. And so this is going to be really, really important to learn. And again, how to express your sovereignty through natural law. living above the line, you want to share that, Laura Jane, that'd be great.
On day 2, we actually are exploring how to hold your position as a sovereign, because that's very important. It is all about taking action and knowing what are the tools and techniques that you can use in your everyday life so that you are living sovereign. You need to really comprehend contract law as a sovereign, because that is what we're dealing with as we step in and out of the public-private domain. And while we're sovereign, we are certainly living in the private domain. If I choose to do something in the public domain, I have to comprehend contract law. So by knowing that, that gives you a much better understanding. And that is so powerful. Even I said to Karen, oh, when I wrote back our contract for the hotel, I did it differently. And so it was really interesting because the woman wrote back to me and said, I've accepted your counter offer. So she knew exactly what I was doing. Then we're also going to go through tools and techniques to free yourself of debt, which we will be talking about in our private membership meeting tomorrow night as well. And then how to hold your sovereign position in the maritime legal court, because it doesn't mean that you won't ever end up in their legalese environment, but it's how do I stay sovereign within this de facto fictitious realm, all right? And then creating and using notice of liabilities to put forward your claims. And again, it's talking about multiple notice of liabilities. It's really going to talk about what are the different kinds of notices and when and where would you use them. So day 2 is really, it's about learning. We do sovereign living and then living sovereign, all right? And that's day 2.
Thank you. Yes, we need to up-level our confidence because every single man and woman is going to be called to really claim their sovereignty.
Can I give you a testimonial, Karen and Laura Jane?
Yes.
So Bill and I took your course in Langley, White Rock Langley, a few months ago, and that's where we met you in person and got to hug, which is awesome. Highly recommend that everybody take this course, and really to absorb the information, we need to do it more than once because it's so full of great information and you can only just get the overview the first time. So I put a question in the chat too about will this ever be offered virtually, and highly recommended that everybody who is interested in this at all take the workshop.
Thank you, Esther and Bill. We so appreciate you. Grateful. Yes, and when we were in Duffield, it was, I think it was Ken said, if you want to, 74 years old, he's got cowboy boots, cowboy hat. If you want to live beyond 2023, you need to take this course. Brilliant.
No, but Jennifer's on.
Yeah, I don't think Dolores, do all of you know who Dolores Cahill is?
The majority of us do. There is a few new members, and I was going to ask Dolores when she came on if she could share a little bit about herself, and for all the people who are waking up right now.
Dolores, right now she's in Austria, but she lives in Ireland, and she's a descendant of the Brotherhood of Ireland, and she grew up learning about and knowing about natural law her whole life. She's a very accomplished scientist, immunologist, excuse me. And so she's been, when COVID started, she was, she's been involved on the scientific side, but she's very dedicated now to sharing with everybody the power of natural law. And all of you would have heard of that. And she was gonna come on today. She is constantly getting her phones hacked, her computer hacked. And I just had an opportunity to talk with her this evening, and I sent her the link, but I can see that she hasn't picked it up, and that's not like her too. So it probably got blocked. And we all kind of laugh a little bit and go, yeah, don't worry. Everybody's watching us. but some of us are being particularly pinpointed,
Yeah.
and maybe because we serve more as strategists and they really want to follow and see what you're doing. And also interfere with what's going on. So this is what's happened with Dolores this evening. Now in Austria, it's 6 hours ahead. So I know it's the middle of the night, but I know she would have had an alarm on to come on, but I don't think she can access the links. And I posted it on several sites for her. So we will get Dolores in to talk, and at some point in not too distant future, I'm sure she will come to Canada and we'll do a cross Canada tour and education. And she's just developing the programs to educate people about natural law and to actually educate educators. So then they can go out and teach in their groups, their hubs, their communities, so that this can just keep going out there. And this is not so much about going into a court of law and winning your case, because no court of laws are we going to win our cases right now anyway. But going into a court of law, at some point we will do that. And I know some people who are very experienced with speaking natural law, but also understand the constitutional law. They can go into court and confound everybody, and often the case ends up getting thrown out. But for the average person, which is, everybody, it's really about educating people how to defend themselves personally. And if you had a police officer, for instance, that was overstepping the law and started to pull you up and demand things of you, it's teaching you how to stand up to them politely, but how to challenge them, what questions to ask them, how to speak to them, within legality, law, and all of that, and understand your words that you choose make a huge difference on the impact that you have on these people. And this is what Dolores is teaching. And she's been going around to different communities, actually doing jury trial by jury, which is the natural law, and she's teaching it. It's basically she's doing a prototype of it, because she's going to Oxford December 2nd. They'll probably end up going over there too. And she's doing a trial by jury on the 50-minute cities, because Oxford, they've already instituted this. And, they're driving it forward more and more. So this is about arousing interest and knowledge within the community, and then spreading the word so that you could stand up to this and know how to defend your sovereignty. So this is what she was going to come in. She said, "What do you want me to talk about?" And I said, "Why don't you share with everybody what you're doing right now, because it's fascinating. And then actually you can step into that zone about talking about natural law too." She does a beautiful presentation on natural law. And if we get confounded next time we come forward, I'll do the presentation for her. But she's got it really nicely pulled together. A few years ago talking about it, and I know, Laura Jane, you're an expert in this area too, is when she started talking about it, it sounded, it was kind of more new information for everybody that was, that's used to constitutional law. And now, though, she's got it so nicely refined that everybody can understand and know how they can apply it in their own life. I've been working with Dolores for several years, and I'm currently on the board. I think some of you might have come into our recent launch that we did of all those strategies that we're already launching with the World Freedom Alliance. So the natural law is really Dolores's baby, and then we have another wing that is coming together with online school, so that people can have access to different school type of hubs and information, and then apply it to anywhere in the world. Because I love what a lot of people have done when we had that lockdown, and new schools developed from it, but they're rather expensive. And our initiative really is to help people access information without having a paywall. So, and I'm sure you all feel the same way too, is you want to help people as best you can without a paywall. There's no question people have to, pay for certain expenses, but not so steep that it's impossible for the average person to access. When it starts to cost the same cost as private school, we've stepped over the line. Now, it doesn't mean that those aren't very good schools, and I commend the entrepreneurship of the people doing those schools, and it is accessible for a certain part of the population, but we definitely need to make sure we've got things accessible to everybody. And that goes with natural cures. And when I've gone to different groups and meeting with them, I take a stack of all of the protocols that I've collected since the beginning of COVID. And they're protocols that you can get over the counter that will cure you of virtually every ailment. Because how many of these protocols have you come across? And they have like a huge laundry list of ailments that they cure. So, and this, of course, creeps us into the quantum field too, doesn't it? Because I've certainly am exploring this and collecting all sorts of information and devices that I will gently bring forward for people. And some of them people will be familiar with, and others they're not. But I'm still getting introduced to these phenomenal healing devices that have been there for decades and decades, but have not been in our reach until now. So it's really a wonderful time to be here. I'm also working with the Canada Health Alliance. I'm on the board of Canada Health Alliance, which really is the boots on the ground healthcare dissemination across Canada. And we're providing a way forward. I mean, all of us are providing a way forward, and we all need to collaborate to do this together. We're providing, I've mentioned it several times in other groups too, where we have a verification system for all of those healthcare and people in the health field. And I'm talking about masseuses, chiropractors, medical doctors, Reiki, you name it. Anybody that's actually got the expertise in those fields to get recognition for it. And so that when people come to them, they can see that they have a recognized amount of education and an experience, so that they don't feel like they're stepping into, no man's zone, and they don't know if they're being taken care of by someone experienced or not. So that's the verification system that we have, and we've got different levels of verification. And we welcome anybody and everybody to come in and join Canada Health Alliance. We've now started an education program. We've launched our first education series, and this is education for everybody, not just for scientists. It's not speaking high-level science when you're in the arts and you don't understand what they're talking about. This is home care. Stephen Malthouse has just launched his program, and it's homeopathy for you at home. So how to take care of yourself at home. So we're launching all sorts of programs like that, and I believe very reasonable. They are at a price for the courses, because these are official courses, but I'll certainly with special consideration for members of the Canada Health Alliance. And we have a directory for access. You guys have an amazing directory too. And I've talked about this in your group before. Everything needs to be kind of interlinked, right? And have access to all of this. And the directory is totally open. You don't have to be a member to access that at all. And what else can I tell you about myself? There's the Alliance of Indigenous Nations is something that's rather special. At the beginning of COVID, and I think we all felt it, that you wanted to turn to the Indigenous, because we've always known that they have the connection with mind, body, spirit, the universe and the earth. And I didn't have a lot of success at the very beginning of COVID, because it was a learning curve for me too. And I realized so many of them too have been corrupted, that it's a bit of a minefield to go through, but eventually we get there and come together and bring the people who really are still resonating in a high way to come together and work with us. So the Alliance of Indigenous Nations has brought together Indigenous leaders from all over the world. And they're all, whatever their title is, the king of the Maoris, that there's about 150 of us and growing across the world. And the natural law we're bringing in to help guide and educate them. So I think if I do end up going over to England, and I will be taking some of the leaders over there too with me to again start this education process so we can bring it back to Canada. And this is what we'll build up, and we will have in a not too distant future a way of bringing this to all of your communities. It's taken this long for everybody in Canada to start to realize that the legal system truly is broken. It doesn't mean that you don't continue ahead with lawsuits and cases, because you do need to do that. It's a way of gathering information. And also, the dam will break at some point, but at this point in time, it's very corrupt, and doesn't mean that everybody that works in the system is corrupt. It just means that they've been influenced by it. So turning to natural law is a natural alternative in my eyes, and I know all of you would feel that way too. Internationally, I'm in touch within groups all across the globe. I work with Medicos Pela Vida. It's a big doctors group in Brazil. They have about 30,000 medical doctors and affiliates that are part of this group, and they just formed it at the beginning of COVID, and they treat COVID patients. In Brazil, they are allowed to dispense ivermectin. However, to discuss it and talk about it, they are getting vilified right now. Again, it's everything to do with the political environment, right? Every time the presidency changes, the whole slant of everything changes. So they've been sued and by the government, and they've got all sorts of issues going on. But we're doing a big conference in Brazil in the New Year's and later in the New Year. And I'll bring that forward to you too, because I will talk to them about, who can come in, but I think that they'll be live streaming it. They have certain regulations in Brazil too, though, about certain lectures that they have can only go to the doctors, and then the other ones can go to everybody else. But I think it's be really interesting, and I will bring it forward to you, Karen, so you can share with your group when this conference is on, because it is live streamed. And certainly more important to me is all the alternative therapies, because when you get into alternative therapies, you get into the aspect of what we've been given on this earth to be able to utilize ourselves and access ourselves. So I actually consider that probably the most important part of it. All the doctors discuss all of the treatments they're doing and what's happening and where they've been going, and that's wonderful. But I think the power is in the alternative. And honestly, we all know that medicine is going to change dramatically. I know that the globalists feel that it's going to go into AI, but I feel it will shift into the quantum field. Mm-hmm. And I think if enough of us learn about this and introduce it to each other, and it's actually not difficult to assimilate. And it's funny talking in the groups with the scientists and the doctors, and they're all, oh, the quantum field is so complicated. And I'll say, no, it's not actually. That's what we've been indoctrinated with, to make everything complicated so you get lost in it and you don't see the truth because you're so tangled up in all these theorems and complicated aspects of the science. And actually, the quantum field is very simple, and the universe is based on very simple principles. So as we're able to, as I said, I'm on this learning curve like all of you are. So I'm excited by it. I've got this PEMF machine here, and I've got to take the course to learn how to use it, and then I'll bring aspects of that forward. I've got a red light panel over here and other red light things. I've got foot detox. I've got and it's just, I can't access enough of this to know how to bring it forward. And honestly, people say to me, oh, we're going to open a wellness clinic. And I said, yeah, I do feel I will at some point, but it's going to be something that I want accessible for everybody to have, because it's about us all being, and then to teach to take it home and take aspects of that home. All of you might, I'm doing this a little bit backwards. I don't know if all of you really know a lot about me other than what I'm feeding you right now. I got pulled into the vortex of COVID actually at the very beginning, even before the pandemic was announced. And I put up a video about a nursing home that used ivermectin to treat scabies, and it went viral across the world. And it was the first time anyone spoke in English on social media about ivermectin. So this is how I got connected internationally, because in Canada, I couldn't find any doctor at all. I'm a dental surgeon, so I'm not a medical doctor able to prescribe. And I had people contacting me from all over the world to help their family members in Canada, which of course I was reaching out to all of them. And it took me a little while to find a doctor that prescribed ivermectin even once. And I jumped on him. And that person is the lovely Ira Bernstein. And I think you guys may know him. A lot of you may anyway. So when I managed to draw him in and engage him by bringing him into different international meetings, and he just lit up with it, we launched the Canadian COVID Care Alliance. And because Peter McCullough kept saying to me, you've got to start an alliance. And I said, I have to find a medical doctor, then I'll launch it. So, and then we met David Ross, and he's an accountant. So he was really good at organizing stuff in the background. And so we launched Canadian COVID Care Alliance. And then with all my international connections and getting to know Tess right after she did her declaration and her appeal to the Prime Minister in England, I reached out to her. And it's funny, she told me, she said, you're the first person that I talked to after I did that declaration. I was so nervous talking to you. And I said, that's so cool, because we launched the World Council for Health together. So this is kind of who I am. Now, as a result, probably about a year into COVID, a very good friend of my husband and I, and he's a big businessman, and he does business with all levels of everything, government, everything. And he was sitting at the dinner table with us, and he said, Jen, he said, be careful. He said, the Five Eyes are watching you. And I had never heard of the Five Eyes at that point in my life. And I just laughed and said, well, I mean, I assumed I knew that was obviously, the agents are watching me, right? And I said, oh, well, that takes care of worrying about a VPN then, because if they're watching me, what's the point of me trying to learn that information, and switching VPNs all the time? Forget it. And I didn't really think much of it and laughed it off, because every Zoom you go into, everybody's talking about, they're listening. Oh, we can't talk on this app. They're listening. And I'm going, they're listening on all the apps, you guys, and the ones that are most private are probably the ones they set up. Okay. So,
Thank you for
but
saying.
you don't say it too loud, because everybody's getting scared. And the whole thing is fear mongering, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and in Africa, it's like having the runners. You go on WhatsApp and they say, oh, I don't care, but put it on WhatsApp, because they hear from one end of Africa to the other within 5 minutes. And I went, fine. And we, WhatsApp is open,
Yeah.
right? And then of course, Signal's like, oh, Signal's the best. I'm like, yeah, that's how they took down that whole group across Australia, right? Because of Signal. But it's like, okay, it's all right. So I just kind of laughed it off, because you go, you know what? I'm here. We're talking on Zoom, for God's sakes. Okay. We know Zoom's already told us that they're modeling AI after each one of us, right? So I'm like, whatever. And then I went down to the truckers, the convoy, when it came through Toronto. And I did a really cute little video talking to the police, saying, you want your freedom and sovereignty, right? He's going, yeah. I said, too bad you're not out here partying with us. He goes, yeah, that would be really fun. And I should send it to you, Karen. It's actually a cute little video. And I came home on a Saturday night, and I stayed up and just played around with it on my phone and uploaded it to YouTube. Why YouTube? Because YouTube is where people are that don't know what we're talking about, right? On the alternative media, everybody knows what we're talking about, or they wouldn't be there. I tell friends of mine that are not, awake, I'll tell them about, Brave, or I'll tell them about BitChute, and they don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know any of the people we think the world knows about. They know nothing. So I put it up to YouTube, and it was about 2 or 3 in the morning. 10 o'clock the next morning, my office got raided. It's funny. It's a little, when you talk about a blind spot and, you're looking for your car keys or your glasses or your cell phone and you've got in your hand or something, and psychologically they talk about this blind spot. So I have this blind spot, and I'm going to tell you what it is in a minute. So I'm thinking, and they say, of course, regulators driven driven investigation, and the college is, investigating you. And I'm thinking a complaint has been made. And I didn't think much of it. They raided the office. I wasn't in the office that day. 2 people came in. They took over my office for several hours. They grilled my staff. They searched my office. They called me on the phone. And the email they sent me when they got me on the phone, the email they sent me, they had sent like 3 minutes before they called, which means they sent it from my office. So you deal with it, you roll with it. My lawyer rolled with it. We rolled with it for about 1.5 years. Then they took me into, litigation and, the charges that we have against you, but they have no charges. It's just a laundry list of threats. And then they slap your hands, and it's a little bit of a kind of a Gestapo number they do on you. And then you're off, and that's done. So it's interesting. Once it was all over, it just hit me. And I thought, wait a minute. There is no way when a complaint is made on a Sunday, early morning on a Sunday, that they would even have opened their computers to that complaint on Monday. It would take several weeks before they come in. Even if they were rushing, it'd be a few weeks. The registrar wouldn't have launched that right away. There's no way they would do that. And then I realized, oh, the 5 eyes. And I spoke with my friend actually just last week, and I said, I don't think I told you, but this is what happened to me. And I said, it's funny. It isn't until recent that I realized, oh, this isn't driven by the college. This is driven by Secret Service. And he said, Jen, they came into your office looking for stuff. They're looking to see what they're looking for information. And I said, she said, it's because of what you do and how you do it. And I said, oh, so they knew I wasn't in the office on the Monday because they wanted to go through my office. And then he said to me, and I can tell you very likely they weren't both from the college. You had Secret Service in your office. So I'm going, wow, this is like a spy movie.
Right.
And you have to take it lightly, right? But I'm just like, oh, how blind could I have been to not have realized? It's just so in your face, right? How can they possibly come in and raid your office? Now, the reason I know that was the trigger is because all the work I do goes out of the country and then comes back into the country. Right. So this was the first really local thing that I had done. So it kind of nailed it for them. And they came in looking for whatever I might have. So I always tell people, you follow your instincts and stay in the zone that you operate the best in. A lot of people that might be being out on a rally stage and just blowing it all off, and that works for them. And I know a lot of them, the Secret Service probably isn't after, because then they go home and make dinner. And then you've got the others who are strategizing and move around. And it's funny, Dolores said to me, she said, they probably planted something in that office. I said, good for them, because I've moved my office since then. So, and that's the world we live in. We live in it's like we're living in a movie. That's what it feels like. Except it's a movie. If we were watching, we go, oh, that just isn't real, right?
Exactly.
But you have to just take it in stride, take it lightly. Ultimately, what is my opinion of what's going on? Well, there's so many layers, and I call COVID the great revealer, because it revealed a lot even within my own family. and it reveals, and then you go looking way back in history, and even the history that we're learning, we realize there's layers to reveal in that too, because are we really learning exactly really what happened, you know? So that's where you go to your intuitive self, and we actually find the truth from within. And we've all learned to, you know, we have a few brains in our body, right? Well, actually, probably every cell has a brain in our body. Our bodies are a universe in itself, a universe of so many cells and so many other, you know, it sounds creepy, but it's not, other organisms, right, that are living in us. And they depend on the higher brain, our head, our heart, and our gut, to actually keep them going and keep them all healthy, right? So we've got a big, you know, you think of God supporting, you know, you know, if you look at it as if there's God up there supporting the earth and the universe, well, we have our own little universe inside our body that we're responsible and we're the God of, because we are God too. So, and I was told, I heard once, and it did resonate with me, is saying, you know, be careful the God you pray to the creator, because there are several gods out there.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And and then just taking you back to your childhood, and I'm going to get kind of fun now, but when you start to actually consider the possibility, because of everything we've been exposed to, and you realize that Greek mythology had that's not made up. You know, a lot of that is part possibly of a history in the past, and also remembering, of course, that we are present all the time. And I guess the concept of multiverse is that there's no sense of time, so everything is going on at the same time. So we think of past, present, and then plan in the future, but we have to keep our noses out of the future, right? And because then we're going to miss the power that we keep projecting, right? And we've got to make the future manifested as if it's going on right now. But just the concept that, are there fairies? Are there unicorns? Are there dragons? Is there, you know, is there some truth to this? And it's, you know, you just got to park it, because those were fairy tales to us. But park it and allow yourself to kind of, when you see stuff, like, go there and read a little bit about it. I'm trying to learn too, because I'm like, hey, I'm open to anything now because of what's been going on. And that's the fun side of all of this. And it's like exploring, like we're children of the universe, and we're exploring new territory, right? We're pioneers of a new territory. And that's because we're creating it as we go on and move forward. And yeah, so I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of heartache. I've had a lot of letdown. I've had, I've ultimately though, it's phenomenal meeting people like all of you and feeling so connected. And no, and at the same time, it's allowed me to feel so safe when I'm by myself too.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful feeling. I think every one of you here has always felt a connection. We couldn't define it, but we knew that we had it, and you never felt alone. We have worked and reworked our concept of what, you know, connectivity means, what the creator is about, what the universe is about, what infinity means. Someone said to me, you know, how complicated that is. And they said, no, actually, it's because we're trying to explain it in a linear fashion. Infinity, let's describe a few versions of infinity. Water, where does water begin and end? There's a degree of infinity there and intelligence there. And love, where does love begin and end? That's infinite. So, and how you decide to engage it, there is no beginning and end. So we have to let go of those, the linear concept, just like with time. And I have to catch myself all the time and say, even this morning, I was restless sleeping last night, and I had to get up really early because I was in the clinic doing surgeries today. And as I was getting ready to go to work, I'm thinking, oh, what a drag. I didn't get as much sleep as I wanted last night. And then I went, hey, and I'm driving to work, and I'm going, hey, today is a wonderful day. Today is a fabulous day. And I started just telling myself that. And it's the way to manifest it. And you have to keep pulling yourself in, right? It's like reining in a horse that's running out of the stables, right? It's like, hey, right, come on, rein it in.
We love your wisdom, your stories, and we're so blessed to have had you a part of Life First Canada for so many years. And we're just honored to have you here. Thank you for sharing all that you do. I do have a few people that I want to have you meet as well. DK, I definitely want to have you speak later on. And Hila, I definitely want you to share more about your course as well. And Dalan is going to be offering a essential oil and biofeedback session with all of us in November. So yes, we definitely believe in the alternative therapies. That's where we're going 100%. But I do want to introduce you, Jennifer, to Esther. We at Life First Canada, we created, as you know, a directory, a health directory a couple of years ago. But Laura Jane and Karen Hannah and I, we've been so focused on sovereignty, natural law, etc. And we just kind of weren't able to get it to where we wanted it to be. However, we met Esther, and she's created an international directory already, and it's so professional. It's so beautiful. So I just thought that she could share it tonight. The room is yours, Esther. I'd love for you to share, and just because I think that what you've created is so in alignment with what Dr. Jennifer Hibberd is talking about as well.
Awesome. I was thinking that while Jennifer was talking. Thank you. I'm Esther, and I live just outside Vancouver in BC. And I have created this website. It took me about 2 years to do with a very, very small team. And you can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. And it's called Mind Myself. And the idea behind it, you'll see on the very first thing on the homepage, cultivating unity in a time of divisiveness. It's just so much about, this is a directory for all things to do with complementary, holistic, and integrative health. I'm not anti-Western medicine per se, because it has saved my life on occasion. So I just want to say that up front. And it's not a diagnostic website. It is not meant to treat or diagnose or cure anything. It's information and access to practitioners. As you see on the top, our logo is a seed of life. We have all the chakra colors, and our tagline is because you matter. I am not a medical practitioner, but I've had a huge interest in this, and I'll briefly tell my story. About 15 years ago, I had 10 inches of blood clot in my arm, and I was rushed into surgery, and this is before jabs, so it had nothing to do with that. And Western medicine saved my life, but they put me on warfarin. And they at the end of the 6-month time on this rat poison, they said, when I asked them, what can I do about this to prevent it from happening in the future? And why did it happen in the first place? They shrugged their shoulders and said, well, I don't know why it happened, because you're eating healthy, drinking water, exercising, don't drink, don't smoke, all that kind of stuff. But you could stay on warfarin for the rest of your life, but then you'd be at risk for bleeding out. And I went, I don't think so. So I've had a huge interest in this all of my life. That was just an incidental part. And my partner has gone through something very similar, not with blood clots, something else. So I'm not even sure. I feel like this is a calling. So what this is it's a website, and I've designed it initially for women 40s and up, because we've been a forgotten, dismissed, and ignored segment of the population, but everyone is welcome. So I just want to say that. So I'll give you a quick scroll. This will be a little bit of a fire hose. Karen has given me just a few minutes to share, so I'll do this. So on every top level page is a welcome video from me explaining what the page is about and a written description. I would love it if people would take this confidential health survey so that I can find out more about what people actually want and need, that would be amazing. And in the year that this has been live, it's just been 1 year, we've had people from 56 different countries visit so far for our first time. So I'm super excited. The next thing on here is our 2 events coming up. We always interview practitioners, and we have different topics. This is our 6th panel discussion. I call them Mindful, MYND, full health discussions. This is on metabolism and weight management. The next one is about resilience over the holidays, because I know it's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, but you know, for a lot of people it isn't. And so how do we get some strategies for managing that? Then people can search. We've taken great pains, me and my very small team, to make the whole website searchable by a word, by a health issue, by a healthcare approach, and by a practitioner. We have a monthly newsletter where I feature some of the things from here. We have a blog and we have a podcast. So now I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to show you this. I'm going to quickly go to the healthcare approaches, just so you know what the website is all. This is what took a lot of research. There are 70 different healthcare approaches, maybe more now. And it looks like there's only about 22, but this is a toggle. So each one of these toggles has different things underneath it. Some have more, some have less, things that go along with that. So I'm just going to pick one here, and we're going to go to live blood analysis just for the sake of it. This is what all of these pages look like. This is a picture of my blood when it was very healthy from a live blood analysis or dark field microscopy. I was very proud of this moment. And, you know, doctors who know about it could interpret, but anyway, there you go. And then there's a video from YouTube explaining what is live or functional blood analysis. If there is a practitioner on the site, they can press find a practitioner and look for it. And then the beginning is, how can it help you? The next piece of information, and all of these pages under healthcare approaches have the same format, an overview, and all of the sources are credited. So this is from Integrative Health Center, Calgary. Then if there's a college, as much as we have complaints about all the colleges, if there's a college, I wanted to put it there, put it what they say about it, because theoretically they should have the information. And in this, and then I credit what it is. So that's a toggle. And then because I'm in BC, usually this one here will be HealthLink BC definition. In this case, there wasn't one. And so I found another great one from Nature Cure Academy in the UK and Wales. So right off the bat, you have a video explanation, how can it help, and 3 different overviews and definitions. The other thing right after it is live blood or functional blood analysis may work well with, and then you can click on any of these pages and it would take you there. Second last, live blood or functional analysis is used to provide insight into, and these are some of the health issues that might be elucidated. And finally, in addition to the purple bar of navigation and a disclaimer at the bottom, we've linked each of these to 4 different medical databases. So if people want to look at the science, anything that has been listed on live blood analysis or functional blood analysis, they can click on any one of these 4 medical databases and geek out to their heart's content on the science. So that's that part. There is health issues. Quickly dive into this, and then I'll show you a healthcare practitioner profile. Same layout, the different colors of the chakras are represented around the website. And this has the common maladies that we as humans suffer. And if I click on, let's just do hormone health and glands. In my research, this is what came up as the main things to focus on at the beginning. As this website develops, my hope is to get some funding so we can do even more research and present a single page for each one of these. In the meantime, I'll just show you a quick way we've done this. So again, there's a welcome video, or a video about what is hormone health and glands. And I have an introductory paragraph and said, where did I get my information here? An introduction on hormone health, glands, hormones, general health, and then in alphabetical order, which you can do Control F or Command F, depending on the type of computer you're on, to search for something specific. But these are all in alphabetical order, and everything you saw on the previous page is listed here. And it's a beginning introduction. The idea is not to take the place of a healthcare practitioner, but it's a place to come and find information, to feel seen and heard and supported on your health journey, and not have to go down rabbit holes or not fearing who you can trust. The idea was to make this a trusted source for anybody anywhere in the world to come and start to learn. So then this is our practitioners. As I've said, we have 21 so far, looking to grow and expand exponentially. And each practitioner, I'm going to do a search because I know her name. Dr. Jetta Boughton is a TCM doctor in Vancouver who's amazing. She's the best acupuncturist I personally have ever worked with. And this is her profile, and then I'll stop with this. There's more to the website, but so each practitioner gets a mini website within the Mind Myself context. And everything you see here, she has put in because we've created this super easy and comprehensive back-end situation. So it's linked to everything else in the website. So her name, her credentials. If all you want to do is phone her and not look at anything else, you can do that. If you want to visit her website or find out where she's at, you can do that. These are her hours. She put those in. And then there's a video with me, and I ask all the practitioners the same 9 questions, so you get a little bit of a sense of who they are before booking an appointment with them. How often do you get to see that? And then written description, why, her focuses, ideal patients, collaborations, influences, when she was established, and appointment types, times, insurances if she takes them. If she doesn't, then this just wouldn't show up, which is totally fine with me. And she has her own online booking link. We don't do that through Mind Myself. One day, as investment is different, then hopefully we'll have our own, but right now it's just an honor system. And any workshops or courses or sales that she does, she can list those too. And all she has to do, I can do this because I'm the owner of the site, but all she has to do, there's a little pencil that will appear here. I'm just going to show you that. And to edit her website, little mini website, all she has to do, give me one moment, is click on this little pencil and update any of the information at any time. And it would take her to the back end of her thing. And I won't spend time showing you that. Finally, we have the community section. This is where our blog and our podcasts and our events and additional resources. This is where things that just didn't fit anywhere else in the format of the website live because they were too important not to include. I'm actually going to click on this. Is it okay if I take another minute or two, Karen?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. So this is just, you can't have a health site if you don't talk about food, eating, and health, because food is the foundation of everything. Then hormones, because people want to do some exploration, movement and fitness, inspiration and stories, and humor. What is good health if you can't laugh every now and then, right? So I put a lot of links. Some are crude and rude, and if that offends you, then just don't look at those. I've put some warnings on them. And then I'm going to show you where our events, so if people do want to sign up, they can go and sign up for any one of them. And then we've recorded them all. So if you want to look at what the hormone is happening to me, part 1 or 2, the recordings are all there. All you have to do is click on them and they're there. Or sleep, stress, and stamina, or chronic pain and inflammation, and digestive health, it all starts here. So that's a quick overview of the site. And for our podcasts and blogs, we have 4 categories: healthcare approaches, health issues, your mindset, and inspirations and stories. And I'll just click on this one for the sake of it so you can see the format. Excuse me. And it's coming up. It's a little bit slower on that. So the blogs are on the left, the podcasts are on the right. You just hover. What is Reiki? Why do we have trouble sleeping? Muscle tuning versus muscle testing. HRT, BHRT, etc. So it's a super easy to navigate website that has a powerful amount of information, and we're just getting going. So thank you for letting me share that, Karen. The website is Mind Myself, MYNDmyself.com. We welcome any and all visitors, and I'd love to know your feedback. Thank you.
Esther, this is so brilliant and so needed and so necessary and so well put together. I think that a lot of our members, our listeners who are already in the alternative health industry would definitely love to sign up as well.
I
Thank-
welcome that.
Olay, go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. I have a question to Esther. Is that website for whole Canada? Because
It's right.
there is someone in Ontario, I think, tried to replicate something like that. I'm thinking, like, why duplicate?
Why duplicate? I would love us all to get together and see how we can work together. That's my vision. I
Yeah.
just didn't see anybody else creating. To answer your question, Oleg, it's global. There will be many things that you can
Even
only do
better.
locally because, of course, you can't get a massage virtually. You can't do acupuncture virtually. But there are many consulting things that can be done virtually by practitioners. And so we'll have some local all around the world. That's my vision. And of course, if you practice and you can do virtual, then it doesn't matter where you are.
And if local practitioners would like to register, how they would contact with you? Not register. Register is a corrupted word. To get recorded.
Well, they could talk to me. I will put my email here. And they can also go to the website, and there's under the For Practitioners tab on the right-hand side, they can just click on that and apply here. And it's super simple. They fill out a form, and then I will reach out to them directly for a conversation because I too vet all my practitioners and I check their credentials because that's really important. And I get a sense of who they are in our conversation as well. And if I think somebody, so far I haven't encountered that, but if I think somebody is just really off the wall and doesn't know what they're talking about, then they don't have a place on the site.
Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
So brilliant. I love it.
Thank you.
Karen Hanna, she shared with me today about the Young Living orange essential oil has actually helped to heal cancer. And so I'm really glad that Delanne is going to be speaking about essential oils because that's something that we really need to tap into more and more. I love essential oils, as you know. I think Barbara Rempel is on here too. She's been selling essential oils for a long time. But yeah, this is the way is stepping out of the whole medical Western medicine and tapping into what really works for us individually and on a soul level as well. Hilla, I'm so glad that you put your course in the chat. I know Jennifer was talking about schools, and yes, we definitely need to step outside of the public school system, as we've been saying for many years now, to unplug and unschool. So I'm so glad that Hilla has created this powerful learning pod course. Hilla, do you want to share a minute about your course?
Sure, I'm happy to. First of all, I'll send you an email, but on the Life Force Canada website, we need to change the website because we've created a new one simply because we wanted it to be by donation. So we left the platform that is a payment one, and we made it available for everybody from zero to hero. So parents won't have any excuses. So the course is called Start Your Own Learning Pod. And it's basically a recording of a Zoom course that we had with actual participants. And we walk them through 4 stages or 4 modules of how to start a learning pod. So first, we talk about design your own learning pod because we know families have different needs. They look differently. They live in different areas. So that's not a problem. There's different possibilities of designing a course that works exactly for you and your family, and some families that are nearby or in proximity or you're in relationship with. So the design of a pod in terms of how many learners, where are you going to learn it, who's going to facilitate it. Again, we explore possibilities on this module. The second module is about value-driven curriculum. And it's also about understanding, I mean, how beautifully each and every one of you here spoke before. This is a war on our mind. So we are actually working on our mind, and we're shifting our perception of what are we seeing and how do we want to vision our reality. So this is same with school and schooling, and this is why some parents call it unschooling, because we want to deconstruct all the things that we were taught that this is the right way to be schooled, and actually allow people to be more creative, to let go of the old paradigm and come together and collaborate on what values they want to teach their children. Is it going to be community based? Is it going to be multi-age? Are you going to have seniors participating? Do you want to work around a garden or any other project? There's so many possibilities. So that's the second module. The third module is about agreements and how to create it as a small business. And I'm not going to get into that because there's a lot of details. It's a bit boring, but it's a good one. It's good to know because you want to have it up and running. And this is, this is like the masculine energy. In order to move forward and to flow, you want to have a structure. The river banks are there to help the river flow. So it's good to know about agreements and structures and all those practical things when you start a learning pod, especially if you want to start it as a small business. And that applies not just for parents or families, anyone that wants to work with children. You don't have to be a teacher or a certified educator. It's enough to be what they call a responsible adult. And then we go over that, and then you can start a learning pod. The fourth part of the course is more so about marketing and how to create your social media material and other miscellaneous. So that's about it. I think it's about 4 hours, and you can take it on your own time and pace now that is online recorded. And we also have some forms that we give for free there that are helpful, some templates on the marketing module. So it's quite a comprehensive and all-encompassing course. And we are available for questions all the time. So if you're on the website, you signed in, or even if you didn't sign in, you have our email, and we're very accessible. We want to be, very personable. We're not like a corporation or a big organization. We're two people, Michael Fraser and myself, and we have tons of experience in education and teaching and building systems like that. So we'd love to help. And feel free to forward our website.
Thank you so much, Hilla, for all you're doing. It's beautiful work. Love it. I know that Laura Jane is a part of Cal Washington's wave that's happening, and so is DK. I think there might be a few other members that are a part of it as well. And I know that DK has sent out his notice of liability. DK, do you want to talk a couple of minutes about what you have sent out?
First, thanks for allowing me to share. So just to provide a bit of context, I guess we all know that there's like a spiritual war going on. What we want to do, all of us, what we want to do is, of course, try and restore goodness. Well, at least what I found, without going into too much detail about the worldview and all that, we have a way to do that lawfully, not necessarily legally, but lawfully, because there's a difference between legal and lawful. But even in the so-called legal world, they use the word lawful incorrectly anyway. We want to be lawful and go into a higher jurisdiction, a more encompassing jurisdiction, and try and bring remedy, or at least if we can't bring remedy, at least we can try and halt the harm that's being done. And we're trying to do that through a formal process called I say notice of liability. This particular notice of liability, and one of the founders is Cal Washington. At least it's a notice of liability process. I've sent out my third one, actually. I sent my third one out this past Saturday. Actually, In power movement, which is what it's called, what we're focused on is sometimes they'll say 4 agendas, but the 4th one isn't really ready as an NOL. So the 3 agendas are trespassing technology, or what we call smart meters, wireless radiation, some people call it 5G. I think wireless radiation is more encompassing, and what we call forced vaccinations. And it doesn't just mean COVID-19 vaccines. We're skeptical of all vaccines. And when we say forced, really, it's like more the mandated ones, and just vaccines that have no real benefit versus harm, no positive, statistic that shows that there's any benefit to them. Anyway, so those are the 3 causes, and there's an NOL for each of those 3. Not in every country in the world. The NOL is sort of specific for each country, and the countries that they're available now in are Canada, US, I think Australia, New Zealand. There might be a few others. One inhibitor that for some people is the fact that with this particular NOL, you need 2 witnesses when you mail it, and those witnesses have to put their name and address on the NOL. And you also need either a notary or a commissioner of oaths to stamp it. So that can be a bit of a hurdle for some people, because even us, we're like-minded people. But if we had to get 2 witnesses who are like-minded with us to do this, if they don't have the in-power worldview, or they might even be hesitant to put their name and address on an NOL, because they might be hesitant to, right? So I was very fortunate that there's people in the Montreal area, and not necessarily Montreal, but because I'm in Montreal, but in the greater Montreal area, someone who reached out to me and said, hey, why don't you come and join us, and we're also in power members, so we can be witnesses for each other's NOLs. So I was pretty fortunate to find that someone reached out to me, because I was reaching out to a few people and hadn't gotten a quick response. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you, DK, for taking action.
Yeah.
We need more people doing that, because a lot of people are just sitting back waiting for someone else to do it, and it's going to take every one of us. So bravo.
It's worth it. We got to do something. So.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, DK. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Laura Jane.
Thanks, DK. Love your action. You're definitely a road runner when it comes to the NOLs. I just wanted to also say that the reason Cal picked those 4 that we have, the 4th one coming up will be geoengineering. The reason those were picked is because we have actively been lied to and sold in commercialism a contract in which we have inadvertently got ourselves into to purchase bioweapons. So the 5G, the smart meters, the vaccinations, and the geoengineering are all war mechanisms. They are weapons. And that is why he focused on those 4 areas, because when we call them to verify that they are in fact safe, that they are, not going to cause any harm, that is how we're calling them out. And that is why that notice of liability is in place. It is the fact that they cannot rebut them, because once they rebut this notice of liability, they have admitted that they in fact have been introducing and selling us and getting us to purchase weapons that will kill us, basically. So that's why I went there. That's why it's a war that is well above just the physical realm. That's why this is the spiritual war and how to move into it. Because when a notice of liability is done, it is calling in all realms. because this is a huge agenda. And so that I just wanted to explain that was why there were only 4 within the Empower movement. But there are so many other kinds of notice of liabilities that we can use in a lot of things that we do as sovereign men and women. And so I just wanted to add that, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura Jane. And yes, Melody, and notice of liability will work on everything and anything. Yes, and we're actually going to be discussing on the private member call tomorrow night about the 3-step process on how you can dissolve your credit card debts. So we're going to be actually sharing a letter with the on the private member call tomorrow night. Oh, yes. And if you want to join in on the private member meeting, you need to be a private member of Lifeforce Canada. You can go at lifeforcecanada.ca and scroll down on the main page and you'll see private member or free member. And if you're a private member, then you'll receive the email tomorrow afternoon, and that will have the Zoom link for tomorrow night. It's a different Zoom link than tonight as well. Okay. Yes, I know that many of you, all of you, were looking forward to Dolores being on the call this evening. I was too. Again, everything happens for a reason. And so we'll just trust that we're going to manifest her coming on to the call in the very near future. I want to thank actually Laura Jane and Karen Hanna because they're on their Freedom Rising calls, and every time they hear someone say natural law, their ears perk up and they're connecting with them. And so they shared with me about what Dolores is doing in Ireland, etc. And so I thought, okay, I know that Jennifer knows Dolores really well. And Jennifer actually asked last year if we wanted to have Dolores on to talk about natural law. And so it's perfect timing now because of what she's offering. And so, yeah, thank you again, Jennifer, for, doing what the best you could do to get her on this evening.
She'll come forward. She will. And if I do end up going to Oxford, I'll film some of it and I'll bring some of that back and I'll tell you all about it. And I would think in the new year, probably late spring, early summer is when we're probably looking at Dolores coming here. I just get that feeling. So I think all of us will be ready for that. And you're right. I mean, all of us should be taking everybody's version of the natural law because it's all the same, but it's telling it you from a different person's perspective. So it'll all start to actually kind of make sense for each one of us personally by doing that. So
thank you, everyone, for standing for freedom, for showing up here. I am just so honored to have you as the Lifeforce Canada tribe. You're all doing such powerful work. And I just want to share that in my new home, I now have the Lifeforce Canada Training Center. So it's amazing. It's a beautiful space. And this space is going to be dedicated to those who want to take action and really start creating notice of liability groups. I think we really need to start creating those as well. So yes, thank you everyone in the chat for asking questions there, and whoever answered them, you're all brilliant. Love all of you, and I'll definitely let Norma Jean know about all the love that she received this evening. Together we rise, everyone. I'm not going to be doing a meditation this evening, but I will get back on that next Monday. Lots of love, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
everybody.
Thank you, Karen.
Night.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cheers.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks,
Night.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Light.